flaming skull! This'll really interfere with my Halloween costume plans!
Enter the Kongversation! Oh yeah, I'm Hyle Russell, and with me on this episode is...
Shane Marchis, and I am really happy we are doing this. Like, for all of DK Vine history, people have been asking you to try some other games, and I'm really happy you called me on here to talk about Fallout. It has some bad games, but I'm just really excited you're playing them.
Well, what can I say? That E3 trailer with Take Me Home Country Roads really just worked its way into my brain, and... you know, I can pretend like it's my dream Banjo-Kazooie Smash reveal trailer. Hey, speaking of Banjo-Kazooie and Smash, what if instead of Banjo-Kazooie being in Smash Brothers, it was Yooka-Laylee being in a game sort of like Smash Brothers?
Well, that would be really poetic, having a Banjo-Kazooie knockoff in a cheap Smash knockoff, wouldn't it?
Oh, we're off to a good start here. No, first of all, hello everyone. Happy October. Happy Oktoberfest for all of you raging alcoholics out there. Shane, what are you drinking for Oktoberfest on this first October episode of The Kongversation?
I actually have no drinks.
You're going dry on this episode. Wow, that's a bold move.
I was going to pour some water, but then I didn't.
Oh, wow. Well, as much as water lends itself to good podcasting about the Donkey Kong universe, I'm actually stone cold sober right now, as I usually am on these shows, you know, when I'm not indulging in some of the Angry Orchard or just straight up rum, because fuck it, right? But this is... we're doing this noon on a Friday, so I was like, I don't want to start day drinking in noon, because I still have more work to do after this. You know, I have to do the Facebook post, I have to do the Twitter post. By the way, if you haven't followed DK Vine on Facebook or Twitter, you're missing out. Let me tell you, we've got daily updates. If you ever wanted Donkey Kong in your feeds, if you ever wanted to feed on Donkey Kong on a daily basis, or various Donkey Kong spin-offs, or of course, the much vaunted Donkey Kong spin-offs, which is why we're talking about Brawlout on this episode.
Wait, Brawlout? This is a Fallout episode. We were going to talk about my favorite game, Fallout New Vegas.
No. This is Brawlout from off of Brawlout. It's just one game. Well, kind of two games, because there's the regular Brawlout, and then there's the Brawlout Deluxe Edition. We'll get into that. But, yeah, this is Brawlout, and we're talking about Brawlout because Yooka-Laylee are guest characters in Brawlout. And this is their first guest appearance outside of Tracky Train, which of course only had Yooka, which is a whole thing we kind of got into in our last DKU Tribunal episode. And we can't do another Tribunal episode until we get Brett Kavanaugh on the show to weigh in on his judicial opinions on Super Mario Odyssey. So that's kind of in limbo. So we're not going to talk about Tracky Train. We're going to be talking about Brawlout, Shane. Just want to clarify. So...
Do we have to?
You're so negative about it. I'm looking forward to discussing Brawlout. I think it's good sport to discuss Brawlout because I have some opinions. I know you have some opinions. Clearly you have some opinions. So, yeah, it's... Anyway, Brawlout, let's just get into it.
Can we talk about Rivals of Aether instead? I mean, Shovel Knight was in Yooka-Laylee and he's in that, or will be in that.
And Shovel Knight's also going to be in Smash Brothers as a assist trophy, so...
and he's going to be in Brawlhalla, which is another Smash knockoff.
Why are they... Okay, so here's my thing, first of all. Here is my thing, and this is my thing. I'm a man with very few things, and I consider this thing to be my primary thing. The name Brawl. Let's just start with the name Brawlout, and Brawlhalla, I guess. Why are all of these Smash Brothers knockoffs? And I'm loath to use that term knockoff because so many of Rare's games in the 90s, the beloved classic, considered perfection now, so many of their games back then were considered knockoffs of Miyamoto's titles. And
I would argue Banjo-Kazooie is nowhere near as much of a knockoff as people think it is. It's very different from Super Mario 64.
yeah, Brawlout does do some things differently than Smash, so we'll get into
Donkey
that.
Kong 64 is a knockoff, but it's a knockoff of a rare game.
Yeah, it's a knockoff of a purported knockoff. And the only reason they made it a knockoff was because they couldn't get the actual version they wanted to do off the ground because it kept collapsing in on itself under the weight of mediocrity. And I'm talking about the 2.5D version of Donkey Kong 64 that everybody says that's what they should have done. They should have done a 2.5D style in the style of Donkey Kong Country, but 2.5D like Crash Bandicoot style. But they tried to do it, and apparently it sucked. So they just said, fuck it, we're just gonna rip off Banjo. But that's a whole nother topic. Brawlout, Shane. Stop trying to... I feel like you're derailing me without even saying anything. You're just doing some sort of ninja mind tricks on me, where I start going off on these tangents about anything but Brawlout. So, stop it. Let me talk about Brawlout.
What's your favorite song in Star Fox Adventures?
the saxophone porn song, obviously. I can't get an erection without listening to that now. It's basically, once you hit 30, Shane, it's basically Viagra or David Wise saxophone music. So
there was a remix in the OC remix Double the Trouble for DKC 3.
Yeah.
It's a remix of Stilt Village GBA where David Wise plays saxophone. It is so good. I think it was... okay, we can talk about Brawlout now.
Yeah, I like how the only officially available picture of David Wise that anybody has, besides appearances at conventions and whatnot, is him jamming on the saxophone. Brawlout, Shane. Now, Brawlout, for those of you not in the know, and looking at the people who called in for this episode, that would be everybody. Brawlout is an indie Smash-inspired, we'll say Smash-inspired, fighter by Angry Mob Games. And it first came out in April 2017. Now, that was a while ago. That was a year and a half ago. So why are we just talking about it today? Well, they've only recently added...
I have the same question. Why are we talking about it today?
Shut up, Shane. They only just added Yooka-Laylee in the last couple of months. I think maybe it was it August that they added Yooka-Laylee?
August. Yooka-Laylee was, they launched with the Xbox One and PS4 versions of the game, and they still haven't been added to the Switch version.
They still, well, I haven't ended up to
because
share
it's
about
tradition. It's tradition for the Switch to have to wait a long time for Yooka-Laylee.
Right. So, something else happened in August of 2018 that kind of eclipsed Yooka-Laylee being added to Brawlout. So DK Vine had other priorities to get to first. K-Rool kind of... I imagine when the Platonic guys saw that K-Rool was in Smash Ultimate, they thought, oh, fuck. Nobody's gonna care now that our characters are in this derivative title that's essentially just an indie Smash-inspired tribute. But whatever. I mean, nobody could help it. It is what it is. And Yooka-Laylee were added in August, so we're just now getting around to it. I'm just got around to buying it this week. And oh, what a joy I had buying it, Shane, because I knew it was available for the Switch. I knew it was available for the PlayStation 4. For whatever reason, I was kind of blanking on if it was for the Xbox One or not, so I was like, I'll just buy it for the Switch. So,
see, it's weird because I told you it was on Xbox a few times.
Yeah, I know, but I was too busy talking about K-Rool and Smash, so I wasn't really paying attention to you.
What happened with me is I knew it was coming to I actually had the same situation, but like back in July, I knew it was coming to PS4. I didn't know it was coming to Xbox One because for some reason, despite releasing on the same day, the PS4 version was way more publicized, which is kind of how most third-party games are.
Yeah.
But so I got it on Switch for like $6 on sale, and the game stuttered. Like, it stuttered, like, probably worse offline on Switch than it does online on Xbox. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll just go check if it's coming to Xbox. $6 isn't much of a loss, and it was. But I couldn't find a release date. I could find the release date for PS4, but not Xbox One. So the Xbox One release passed me by a couple days, and I missed the pre-order bonus, which is a skin for the frog character Paco.
Oh no, not Paco. Well,
the mighty Paco skin. I will never get it unless it's released to the people who didn't pre-order it, which is everyone.
yeah. You know, I obsess over Sea of Thieves cosmetics. Although I just finally got the Eben Flintlock pistol. You know, and I was like, oh yeah. Had to wheel and deal to get the spinal figurehead. Got the Huntress figurehead.
Oh yeah, I got that too.
But you know, I obsess over that. But oh no, I lost out on Paco's alter skin. I think I'll be able to sleep tonight, and I'm confident I'll find a way to get it at some point. If push comes to shove, I will find a way because I am determined, Shane. I am resourceful, damn it. I know how to move mountains when it comes to the Donkey Kong universe. But as of this moment, I don't really give a shit about losing out on a Paco alternate skin in Brawlout.
But it's the mighty Paco. It's the mightiest of the skins.
Oh, yeah, right. So here's my dilemma. So I knew we were going to do this episode this week, so I had to go buy Brawlout. So I went to download it on my Switch, and, you know, $19.99, you know, reasonable price for an indie game. So, yeah, whatever. Okay, downloaded it. Started to play it. Yooka-Laylee aren't on the menu, the roster, the fighters, the brawlers, whatever you want to call them.
You got avocado all over your Switch for nothing.
That's a reference to a joke we made off air, so nobody knows why you. So anyway, yeah, I was like, Yooka-Laylee, I can't find them. Are they unlockable? Because that would really suck, because for the Kongversation, I need to share my thoughts on Yooka-Laylee being in Brawlout. There's the whole reason we're doing this episode. Do I really have to go through this whole song and dance to unlock them? Because I might not have time to do that. So I did some research. Come to find out, Yooka-Laylee have not been added to the Switch version yet. So I just bought the Switch version for nothing. So, okay. So, well, I'll have to buy it for Xbox One. And then I go on the Xbox, the Microsoft store. There are two versions of Brawlout. There's the regular $19.99 version and a $29.99 version that's called the Deluxe Edition that has all of these extras. And you know me, I'm OCD. I need the best version. So, push comes to shove. I just spent, $50 on Brawlout. Also, it's the end of the month, which means I'm at the end of the Patreon funds for DK Vine for the month. So I'm stretching myself really thin here. And yeah, great. $50 I just wasted on Brawlout when I was only anticipating spending $20. Yay! And I would have found out that Yooka-Laylee were not on the Switch version if I could do any sort of research, but I Googled it and I couldn't really find any reference to them not being in the Switch version, just that they were added to the game in August. And this is the pitfalls we encounter in this era of indie titles galore. Yes, the whole indie boom is great for the industry. It employs more people. It gives us a whole smorgasbord of gaming opportunities and experiences we would not have if we just relied on the big studios. And that's great, and I love it, and I support it. But the problem when there's a glut of indie titles, and you're interested in a particular one, is that doing the bare minimum research for it before you buy it is almost impossible. Because the only resources you have are stuff the company has released, or the studio has released, and maybe a sparsely populated fan wiki that is in no way complete, and whoever was doing it lost interest months ago. So it is really frustrating when you can't rely on a actually great resource like Super Mario Wiki, which we're friends with now. Super Mario Wiki, DK Vine are like best buds.
Love those guys.
Yeah, no. The whole Bear situation, we've agreed to disagree on Bear, but we've laid down our arms, the right to bear arms, and yeah, we're good now. And I like Super Mario Wiki because Super Mario Wiki is comprehensive, and it tells me exactly what I need to know, mostly, about a past game, unless that game is Donkey Kong Land 3, obviously. So, but yeah, doing research for Brawlout before I bought it, and this isn't necessarily anybody's fault. It's my own fault for not knowing where to look, and just blindly assuming something before I put down the money. But sheesh, I wish I could have that $20 back for the Switch version, because now Brawlout is going to think I wanted Brawlout without Yooka-Laylee, and the whole reason I bought Brawlout was for Yooka-Laylee. So now the bean counters at Angry Mob Games are thinking, well, this person wanted Brawlout without Yooka-Laylee. We need to remove Yooka-Laylee from all copies of Brawlout. I could have torpedoed this whole thing, Shane. Anyway, so can I just say, too, before we get into the mechanics of Brawlout, before we get into the zen of this game, it was a little disappointing to see Yooka-Laylee being added to not Smash Brothers. And granted, I don't think Yooka-Laylee deserved to be in Smash Brothers. Maybe someday, but I think they could have made assist trophies or something. They could have found a way to be incorporated into Smash Brothers without being playable characters. So it just seems like it's, I don't know, like an actor you admire being in a direct to DVD or direct to streaming, like, shoddy action movie. Like, Liam Neeson, why are you doing all of this schlock? You're fucking Liam Neeson. You're in Schindler's List, man. What are you doing? It's a little bit what that feels like. Granted, I know the critical reception for Yooka-Laylee was mixed, but I like the game. I really enjoy Yooka-Laylee for what it is, and I can't wait to see what Platonic cooks up next. So, to see Yooka-Laylee kind of, the euphoria of K. Rool and Smash Brothers, like, finally, this character we have championed for more than half of our lives is now granted this validation to be in Smash Brothers, and then to see, and Yooka-Laylee, these beleaguered XPs of Banjo-Kazooie. Yeah, they're in this cheap indie knockoff of Smash Brothers. That's as good as it's gonna get for them. They should just kill themselves now to spare themselves the indignity. But I don't know. I've made my peace with it, Shane, and I'll tell you how I made my peace with it. So, this is for the Geek Critique, because I know he's listening, because he's like, Brawlout, what? So, in wrestling, in professional wrestling, specifically World Wrestling Entertainment, there is a kind of smaller training brand called NXT. All right, so you got like WWE Raw and the SmackDown, and they all fight in the WrestleManias and what have you. And then you've got this other brand that's called NXT, and it's only available on the WWE's version of Netflix. And it just people who have not been graduated to the main wrestling roster have to compete in this kind of junior league. And I'm okay with Brawlout when I think of it as the junior league to Smash Brothers. Maybe if Yooka-Laylee really get to work and put their nose to the grindstone, they can one day graduate the Smash Brothers. But until then, this is as good as it's gonna get for them. And that's fine. They need to earn it. Shovel Knight has at least earned being an assist trophy. Good for you, Shovel Knight. Yooka-Laylee, get to work. So that's how I justify it in my mind.
Yeah. Makes enough sense, I guess. I mean, I'm probably not as big a fan of Yooka-Laylee as you. I had some fun with the game. There's stuff I like about it, but I really don't think it's nearly as good as either of the Banjo games it's based on, even Nuts and Bolts. So
no, it's not. That's okay. My position on Yooka-Laylee is it's not as good as Banjo, and it goes in some weird directions, but I kind of like that. Basically, my ranking are the Banjos, Yooka-Laylee, and then way down near the bottom, Donkey Kong 64. That Yooka-Laylee was not Donkey Kong 64, and was a playable experience that I had fun with, is enough for me. Like, that's basically what I expected. I didn't expect it to be better than Banjo. There were parts of the game that I thought, well, that's brilliant. And there were ideas in there that I thought maybe improved on the Banjo formula. And I thought as a whole, the play control of the characters Yooka-Laylee were a lot smoother than Banjo-Kazooie, compared on the N64, of course. So, I mean, it's...
in some ways, yeah. You could tell it wasn't a Greg Mayles venture, though.
Well, yes, but that's like complaining, oh, yeah, no, the Who's pretty good, but they're not the Beatles, so fuck them. I mean, I don't know.
A more apt comparison might be Wayne's.
Hey, all I'm saying is people need to give Back to the Egg a shot. It's a good album. Just listen to it with open ears. It's not the Beatles, but it's pretty damn good. Back to the Egg. Seriously, one of the most underrated Paul McCartney projects ever. So, anyway, yeah, I like Yooka. I recognize the faults of Yooka, but I think as an indie title made up of X-Rare devs, who didn't have the budget that they had under Rare, and without the full creative team like Mr. Greg Mayles, I thought it was great. And I look forward to seeing what else they can do with it. And
I'll definitely be there to see what they're doing next. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think they can do good stuff if they get a better level designer.
Ouch. Well, anyway,
I love Trouser the Snake. He's one of my favorite DKU characters.
I'm a Vendy guy. I like my weird vending machines with the tongues.
Oh yeah, I like Vendy too.
No, I like a lot of the characters. I like Clara. I like. No, that's it.
I like Shovel Knight. He was a good character.
No, I honestly like everybody, but maybe a few Yooka-Laylee characters I think are great. I think they definitely have memorable characters in Yooka-Laylee. But it's,
Oh, the shopping carts. I loved the shopping carts.
Yeah. See, we're just talking about Yooka-Laylee now. We're not even talking about Brawlout right now, Shane. We're talking about Yooka-Laylee. Anyway.
And that one shopping cart who's like, he's growing mushrooms and tells you to get off his turf.
Yeah. And I like that Laylee has that dig on farmers markets. Oh, that's so great. So anyway, Brawlout though is, first of all, let's circle back to the name Brawlout. I love the audacity almost of just calling it fucking Brawlout. It's almost the same audacity. Almost the same audacity of calling your Banjo-Kazooie inspired game Yooka-Laylee. Like, holy shit. The weird thing is Brawlout, Brawlhalla, yeah, there we go. Why is everybody using the name of the third Smash Brothers game? It's so weird that that's what they're glomming onto. And it kind of upsets me because I was hoping personally that Playtonic would one day have their own fighting game called Yooka-Melee. And I feel like this kind of nerfs that opportunity. Another reason I was a little disheartened to see Yooka-Laylee in Brawlout, because I feel like the dreams of one day having Yooka-Melee have been dashed but whatever. It's just weird to me that you're doing a Smash-inspired game, and I guess calling it something like Brawlout is the easiest way to convey to people, hey, you know what this is about, wink, 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 right? So I understand it from a marketing perspective, especially with all these indie games out there. You need to stand out from the crowd. You need to have a hook in the title itself, and that this way people know it's not just a generic, Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat or Killer Instinct style fighter. It's Smash style fighting. The whole sumo arena thing.
Have you played the new Killer Instinct game?
I have not played it yet. And
it's a really good game.
That's what everybody tells me, Cameron. And I've not been able to get into 2D fighters besides that brief window of time before Donkey Kong Country where I was into Street Fighter just because I liked the characters, the very stereotypical, fighters from all nations. So here's a bear wrestler from Russia. Here's this Indian dude who knows yoga, so that means he's Stretch Armstrong. That was appealing to me as a kid. But the truth is, I just find no hooks in the traditional fighting 2D fighter style of games. There's just nothing there to grab me beyond the initial joy of seeing these characters' moves.
Look, I derailed the conversation again.
And you wonder, Shane, why are we doing this for 3 hours? How do you talk about Brawlout for 3 hours? Because you're sending me off on tangents. And I realize I'm a bad host because I can't keep the discussion under control. I recognize that. I'm a terrible
Killer Instinct
podcaster.
is just a good game. It's worth talking about. Probably more so than Brawlout.
Fuck, man. I'm sorry to anybody who developed Brawlout who might be listening to this. Oh, this podcast is talking about our game. Let's all gather around the old radio machine and listen to it. I'll cook the popcorn. And then not even a minute into it, they're crestfallen. It's like when the makers of Time Chasers watched their episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000 and just grew despondent when they realized they were being ruthlessly mocked by Mike and the Bots.
Okay, I like some of the characters in Brawlout, I guess.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Time Chasers. Yeah, I really like Nick. He was good. The way he invented that time machine in his plane. He was a good character. So, well, let's talk a little bit about how it's like Smash and how it's not like Smash. And how it's not like Smash kept tripping me up to the point where it impeded my enjoyment. I almost wish it was just a direct ripoff in the control scheme.
Yeah, it is a lot like Smash, but there's no grabbing.
There's no fucking grabbing, and I did not put 2 and 2 together, or 1 and 1 together. I don't know why it's always 2 and 2. I don't understand. I'm not a mathematician, so I don't understand these things. But the thing about the grab button is that it really makes Smash feel, again, to quote the Geek Critique, crunchy. The gameplay feels crunchier because you can grab somebody. It feels tangible. It feels like something you're actively engaged in, even if you're just controlling your gorilla, your monkey, or your Kremlin fat king through a controller. It still feels like you're physically in the action. And it's the grab button. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized every fighting game I've really enjoyed in my life, I mean, more than just a passing infatuation with, every fighting game I've really enjoyed has had grabbing. And that would mostly be Smash, and it would mostly be the N64 wrestling games, to bring it back around to that. Because
grabbing is more of a thing you see in 3D fighters like Smash or Soul Calibur or Tekken. You don't really see it in the 2D fighters.
I mean, Smash is 2D.
Smash, yeah, I accidentally threw Smash into that mix, but no, Smash is on a 2D plane. I was thinking, when I said that, I was thinking of Rivals of Aether, which is actually 2D graphics. They don't have grabs. I think there may be a new character that uses them as like her own like special technique, but there's no grabbing in Rivals of Aether, but it doesn't feel like it's a loss in that game the way it does in Brawlout.
Yeah.
And that's because Rivals of Aether is a much better game than Brawlout, and if you have an Xbox One, I suggest you get that instead of Brawlout.
Shit. All right. Well,
Rivals of Aether, it's like the Street Fighter to Smash's Tekken, I guess.
yeah.
It's really good. And the character designs are nice. It has Shovel Knight from off of Shovel Knight and Ori from off of Ori and the Blind Forest, which are two great guest characters from great games.
I liked Ori when I played it at E3. I liked it well enough. Not enough for me to run out and buy it like I did Brawlout, but that's just because there's no DKU characters in it, right? So the lack of a grab button really makes me feel disconnected from the fighting in Brawlout, and because fundamentally it's the same style as Smash. You're trying to knock somebody off the plane. It's like, sumo, and that's all the same. You can knock them off the sides, the bottom, or even the top if they get enough damage inflicted. And it's the same kind of damage meter where you get percentages that go up rather than a health bar. The only thing is you can take far less damage in Brawlout than you can in Smash before you just get knocked silly, it seems like. We played a little bit against each other before we did this
I won
episode.
all 3 times.
Okay, to be fair, it was basically even. You did win all 3 times, but I came close the first 2 times. The third time we were both Yooka-Laylee fighting each other, and I kept thinking your Yooka-Laylee was my Yooka-Laylee, and I wandered off.
I was Water Lizard.
Well, that's another thing I want to address is the whole alternate names for the different skins and the whole echo/clone thing, because I really don't understand how any of this works within the logic of the game.
Some of the echoes are canonically the same character as the character that they are echoing, whereas other ones, like Mako the Shark, is an echo of Paco the Frog, but they're obviously different characters.
Right. And it's kind of like the frustrating thing where Dr. Mario is his own character, even though he's canonically just Mario. But then you have the different skins that become different characters, like Alf and off of Olimar. So, stuff like that. Stuff like that bugged me in Smash 4 is very prevalent here. But because one of the echoes
in this game, I hate to interrupt you, but he's our favorite of the echoes, and we'll go into why later, but he is a past version of one of the main fighters.
Right, which is essentially Young Link. A Young Link situation, so whatever.
I thought he was Swanky Kong at first, but...
Well, he's a monkey, so he couldn't be Swanky Kong, because Swanky Kong is a gorilla, and he might be Donkey Kong's brother, Shane, so it just doesn't work. But it is frustrating because he does basically steal the moveset Swanky Kong would have in a Smash Brothers game. So now they can never add Swanky Kong to Smash Brothers. Sakurai is probably throwing out his plans for Ultimate. Swanky Kong was basically a lock up until Funk Master.
That is probably why the game is coming out in December and not alongside Nintendo's online service, because they had to sort of go into the game and remove Swanky.
You heard it here.
That would be the last minute thing that would have changed this.
I'm sure Dave Throat will send me an email shortly after this episode goes up saying, you nailed it. You got it right. Exactly. That's exactly what happened. You heard it here first, folks. So, there's no grab button, there's also a fucking jump button, and this fucking jump button fucked me up more times than I fucking care to count. But I don't like the jump button here, it feels weird, and it makes jumping feel almost like a chore. I don't know.
Yeah, there's just something about the jumping in this game, I don't know what it is, it feels bad.
Here's, and I think it's just because we're directly comparing it to Smash, okay? So, I think it's because, and I might be wrong, Smash Brothers is inherently floatier in its jumping. Like, there's almost like less gravity in Smash Brothers, where you can recover a lot easier with the jumping in that game. Where in Brawlout, jumping doesn't get you as far, and so you just can't do as much with it. I might be wrong. I'm not a competitive fighter. I'm not somebody who really knows the ins and outs of shit like this. But it just, from the time we played and from the time I played by myself, it just felt like jumping, like I had cement shoes or something. Right? I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. There's also, separate from Smash, so there's no like Smash balls or anything, but there is something called the Rage Meter, where if you accrue enough damage, or I don't really know how it works. It's if you take a lot of damage maybe, or if you just like attack a whole lot, your Rage Meter goes up.
Yeah, I had no idea how that worked. I was like a higher percentage than you, I think, and mine wasn't on fire, whereas yours was.
Yeah. Anyway, so
I'm not entirely sure what that does either. Like, I was thinking, oh, do I have a special I can use? But none of the buttons were doing a special. Was I just knocking you back harder than I?
Yeah, I think it just makes. I think it just makes your moves hurt more, and so you have to hit. You have to activate the rage, and then you go into a rage, and your little character icon starts flaming, and you start pummeling the other fighter a little bit harder because there's smoke now when they get knocked back. So, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, it wasn't that clear. Again, it makes me wish there was an instruction manual with the game. And as far as I could tell, there wasn't. Like, there's a tutorial, which I really should have sat through, but I didn't really care, because I was like, I can figure this out. But clearly I can. So, now, I feel like we've been shit-talking a lot of aspects of how this game is not like Smash Brothers, which, to be fair, when you market yourself as a Smash-style game, that's going to be front and center in your mind. You know, you're looking for a Smash-like experience, and while it can't be completely faithful because you can't just do a carbon copy of somebody else's game, you're expecting, like, the details to match up as closely as possible. So, we have been a little negative there, but to the game's credit, there are lots of modes and lots of unlockables, and I like the system they have for the unlockables. You earn coins for every fight, even if you lose. You can even level up each character, like they call it mastery, where you can, if you use a character a lot, your XP goes up with that character, and then doing that will unlock other things in the game's in-game shop, and you get pinatas that then can be broken. What's with
Yes, I wanted to talk about the pinatas because there's pinatas in the game. They're the loot boxes of this game. So you can buy a pinata and you get like random like aesthetics and stuff like that. But they are pinatas, and that's really cool because this is a DKU game.
Well, I feel like there are pinatas in everything now. Fortnite, of course, uses a lot of like pinata imagery. At least they did at E3 time. I don't really play Fortnite, but, and by I don't really, I mean, I've never played Fortnite, and until Yooka-Laylee...
I've played it a few times.
Until Yooka-Laylee become guest characters in that, I just don't care. But
Thanos was a guest character in Fortnite for like a week.
Who? John Stamos?
Thanos. He'd do his thing where like half the people die, I think. I don't know, I didn't play it while he was in the game.
I see. You said Thanos. I heard John Stamos, and in my mind, that made complete sense.
He is not a guest character in any game yet, as far as I know. We should start a Kickstarter.
He might be in Beach Boys Rock Band. I haven't really looked up to see if that's a thing, but it sounds right in my head, and I like that reality, so it's the reality I now choose for myself.
Shoot, are there Beach Boys songs in Rock Band?
I only have Beatles Rock Band, so again, I wouldn't know. But I know there's no songs.
You can get John Lennon songs in Rock Band that are like outside his like Beatles tenure.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but there's no songs from Back to the Egg in Beatles Rock Band, which is really the fatal flaw of Beatles Rock Band.
Well, the game and the DLC they didn't sell like they thought it would. They were going to do all the Beatles songs, and hopefully they would get to Back to the Egg once they ran out of real Beatles songs. So this is on you, listeners, for not buying the DLC albums for the Beatles Rock Band.
Yeah, I did buy the bootlegs of the songs from Beatles Rock Band, like the slightly remixed songs. I got a bootleg of those. So I have that in my Beatles music collection, but I didn't actually buy all the DLC either because
I kept putting that on the back burner, like, oh, I'll get the DLC eventually, and then they announced that they were delisting it, so I got it then. So I have the complete version of the game.
Oh, well, bully for you. Oh, anyway, well. Yeah,
it was a good game. It was easier than the other Rock Band games, but I really liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it for what it was. I'm just not big on Rock Band in general. Like, that whole fad kind of...
No, you only play Donkey Konga.
Yeah, I know. Got pretty good at Donkey Konga. Not good enough to beat Donkey Konga 2 yet, but, pretty good.
Yet.
So anyway, yeah, Brawlout. I like that there's a lot going on in Brawlout. They did they put a lot of effort into it. It's not just a bare bones Smash clone. It's actually robust in what they offer. It just, you have to argue whether the main experience is enough to keep you coming back, and we'll get into that kind of at the end of the show. But really, the bread and butter of why we're talking about this is the characters, specifically one or two characters, one fighter. But here's the thing, the way the game presents the characters, there's no context for most of these, because most of these are original characters. There are a few characters from other indie games, Yooka-Laylee included, but there are a couple from Guacamelee. Hey, Melee! But that's not a Smash clone. That's more of a Metroidvania type, I think.
I'm surprised you knew that much.
I did research. And then there's somebody from Hyper Light Drifter, and then there's not yet, but there's somebody from Dead Cells coming.
Yeah,
but not yet.
Yeah, I know that because of you.
Yeah, so not
you were
yet.
Like, oh, who's the Dead Cells one? And I looked it up, and nobody is the Dead Cells one yet.
Not yet. So if you want to play this because you're a big fan of the DCU, the Dead Cells universe, sorry, not DCU yet. But let's start with Yooka-Laylee. Yooka-Laylee. So here's what we're going to do. There's no context provided for these characters in-game, but turns out Brawlout has a website, and they actually have extensive character bios on the website. So what I thought we would do is we would give our thoughts and impressions of the characters, and then we'll go to the Brawlout website and read their bio and see how far off the mark we were. Sound good?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. So, what's about Yooka-Laylee in Brawlout? So, Yooka-Laylee, they are pretty faithfully represented here. They look just like they do in Yooka-Laylee. Voice clips taken directly from Yooka-Laylee. And their moves are inspired by a lot of their moves from Yooka-Laylee. I don't know if they do a great job of importing all of them in a way that feels true to Yooka, but for the most part, I thought it was okay. I mean, it's more faithful than Donkey Kong's moveset. I'll say that much. What do you think about Yooka-Laylee in Brawlout?
Okay, so they're represented pretty well. I think it's just the model from their own game.
Yeah.
The way they play it's a bit more stiff than some of the other characters I found.
Really? Yeah, no, I can see that, because I've only played as Yooka-Laylee, because I am me, but I noticed when I was fighting you how much more fluid I guess other characters. You fought me as the Drifter once, and I noticed like the Drifter from a Hyper Light Drifter was a lot like more kinetic in the moveset, whereas Yooka-Laylee, they're just more, I guess, rigid, and they obviously don't have the reach that somebody with a sword has. But even then, it just felt like Yuka's tongue isn't really, like, Yuka's tongue could do some pretty hardcore shit, I would think, but it's not.
Yuka's tongue can be used to, if you're flying off the stage, you can use it to grab onto the ledge and come back.
Right, but I don't know. I was expecting a little bit more with the tongue than what we got. That's what she said. I was thinking about doing that when you mentioned how stiff Yooka-Laylee were, but I thought, this is a family show. The families love to gather around the old radio machine with the popcorn, and they have a quiet night in listening to the Kongversation. I'm sure these families loved your first season. Well, certain types of families, I'm sure. But the primary offense of Yooka-Laylee is Yuka's tail, and you can really spam the shit out of people with this tail, as we were doing to each other when we fought Yuka against Yooka. But yeah, Yooka spins around and whips the tail, and that basically is the most effective attack. There's also bubbles that Yooka shoots from his mouth that they're a projectile, but they do almost no damage to the other fighter. Like, it's very, very slight how much damage they do, which I guess,
I think that's like that ice move where you can spit ice.
Yeah, but sometimes it looks like they're bubbles, like the bubbles that Yooka sharts out of his butthole when they're underwater. So sometimes it was appearing as ice for me, and sometimes it wasn't. So I don't know what the deal is with that. Like, I thought, okay, so he's shooting the ice. Does he also shoot the fire sometimes? Does he also, like, what is the impetus for this move, and how does it work? And I'm still not clear on that. Good thing this is just Brawlout First Impressions and not Spotlight Brawlout. But yeah, I found it mostly to be a worthless attack. The Laylee is incorporated a lot with recovery, and also you can jolt up, and like if you need to like escape a situation, Laylee can get you up in the air very fast, and then you can kind of get away that way. But Laylee also has very limited flapping ability to get you back over a ledge or whatever. But by and large, Yooka-Laylee did feel more rigid, but the tail attack is very effective if you don't mind just being a kind of an asshole and using it more often than not. Shane, do you want to know what the story is for Yooka-Laylee in Brawlout?
You told me what it was earlier, and then I checked the website and read it, so I don't know why you're asking me this.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, are there people listening to this? Are there people who will sit an hour and some minutes to listen to two people talk about Brawlout?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I would like to know the story, Hyle. Tell me.
Well, the family sitting around with the popcorn definitely want to know. This is directly from the website, brawlout.com. A pirate ship is a pretty cool place to live. Put it in a tree and you've got a real winner. Wait, what?
The batship crazy.
Yeah, was the batship crazy in a tree?
It was around a tree.
It was around a tree, but it makes it sound like it's a tree house here. Strike one! Brawlout.com. While renovating their new home, Laylee founds a magical book. Laylee founds a magical book with golden pages that had the ability to reshape reality itself under the floorboards. The poorly constructed sentence, but I'll allow it. Not realizing the value of her find, Laylee used it as a drink coaster. All was good until the dastardly capital B and his novelizer 64 sucked the book away, scattering its pages throughout the worlds within the grand tomes strewn about his factory. On their adventure to recover their literal golden ticket, the duo found a rather odd tome, not quite like the others, about a world of magic and warring nations. With the hope of more pages, or at least some more collectibles, they dove in without a second thought. Holy shit, Shane. The implications here. The implication being Brawlout itself and all of the characters that are unique to Brawlout are actually nothing more than a grand tome in Ivory Towers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what Angry Mob Games has done is they said, all of these characters, all of these IPs we own, they're nothing more than characters in a grand tome in Ivory Towers and Yooka-Laylee. Wow. Holy shit, like...
it's kind of interesting because what I'm calling the Black Eye rule for Sea of Thieves, where Rare made the game, Black Eye will appear. It's a living game where characters might not just be in the launch build. If this game was made by Rare or Playtonic, then this could kind of fall under that same sort of thing. But because it wasn't, I'm not sure if I want to say this is a full new DKU game or just a cameo game.
Or just a cameo game. Yeah, I think because the Brawlout team, they're not Rare, they're not Playtonic, or there's no like big alum that I know of working for this game. That I would argue that it's just a cameo game, but yeah, that is intriguing.
I feel like an argument could be made if somebody was more like anarchic towards what developers were making the games.
Yeah. See, this is weird because usually this whole DKU-centric view of a cameo game is something I would like fight within my own brain. Like, now you have to be fair to this game and to its native universe and these native characters, because you can't just come in and view it from a Donkey Kong universe perspective, even though it guest stars one of your characters. But here, the studio does it. It says, oh yeah, this is all within the context of Yooka-Laylee. Nothing else really matters as much as that. Like, that's fucking nuts. I love it, but it's fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty gret. I like it a lot, and I kind of want to say this is the second entry in the Playtonic universe.
The weird thing is that before I read this bio on the website, I was struggling how to make sense of the lore of Brawlout, whatever lore there might be, because King of Pooh, how does that work? There's a Viking character who bears some resemblance to the Snowmads. Like, how does this exist in a world where those elements exist? And is this a separate dimension that Yooka-Laylee are visiting? No, it's a grand tome in their world. So that like explains basically everything and allows it to take place within the world. It like, there's no chest of time here. There's nothing like weird that we use to justify it. It's just a grand tome in Ivory Towers that we did not see in Yooka-Laylee. But now does this take, according to this bio, it makes it sound like this takes place during Yooka-Laylee. And that's...
Yeah, I get the impression that this is a sort of a side story that happened during their adventure.
I don't know how I feel about that, because that's kind of weird.
I like it. No, I like it.
Like, I could almost like make the justification that after they beat Capital B, they were walking back, but before the party scene at the end of Yooka-Laylee, spoilers, they found another grand tome and they hopped in. Like, that would feel more comfortable to me than just saying maybe sometime between the third and fourth world. I don't know, because
the thing is, depending on the player, a lot of Yooka-Laylee could come in any order, so that's why it doesn't really bug me.
Okay. It's also possible this could be the grand tome that Capital B and Dr. Quack got sucked into at the end of Yooka-Laylee. But then why aren't they in Brawlout? Maybe they're like in hiding in Brawlout, and Yooka-Laylee jumped
Now,
in.
these grand tomes, I'm sure we've done this song and dance on the show before, but do these teleport you to the to another dimension within the book? Like, this is a new reality that was created by writing the book? Or are these places real places, like, that exist that people wrote about, and by writing about them, it's just sort of a portal to that location?
They only exist within, from my understanding, they only exist within the book. They were written by the ghostwriters with the quills, and
So all these characters all exist within these books?
but
They didn't...
but characters can also leave the Grand Tomes and explore. So they're brought to life essentially, and if they can exit the Grand Tomes as a result. So this is how like characters like Clara were born. She was a native of tribal Sac Tropics, but then she could leave and go to say Moody Maze Marsh or whatever. And so there's a lot of like jumping back and forth.
So Shovel Knight went into the book. He went into Capital B's lair and jumped in the book?
Yes, Shovel Knight would be just like Yooka-Laylee did. And a lot of it's subjective, granted, because the game doesn't really spell it out for you. I go into the whole history of how this possibly works with the ghostwriters and the pages and the quills on the Facebook page, dkvine.com/Facebook. Check out the album Your Sunday Morning, Shot of Spirituality. I did like a month-long series on it, and I think it's pretty comprehensive in how it explains it. But yeah.
So the Drifter and Juan, they would have also jumped into the book, or
yeah.
do you want to say that their games took place in the Grand Tome as well?
I don't think we have the authority to say that. Angry Mob Games is giving us the authority because...
Okay, actually, I have actually played their games, and the more I think about it, I really don't think the Drifter is part of this tome, and I also probably would say Juan is not part of this tome, but it's less clear-cut with him.
Well, Juan would conflict with Paco, from what I can tell, but we'll get into that. Anyway, this makes me love Brawlout almost like 50% more. Just the sheer madcap continuity ramifications of this. And the fact that it's such a gift to Yooka-Laylee fans to say, oh yeah, this is just another Grand Tome. Like, holy shit. Holy fucking shit. That's like, thank you, Angry Mob Games, because this saves me a lot of headache. This is just perfect. And the only thing then that raises some conundrums for how we classify this game, but besides that, it's DKU already, so at the very least, it fits snugly within a DKU, much more than something like Tracky Train or other titles where characters appear and we have to kind of make a lot of mental gymnastics in order to have it all fit. This is just done for us, so thank you. But yeah, I mean, so I guess if I have a main in Brawlout, it's obviously Yooka-Laylee. So the last thing I'll say about Yooka-Laylee, we're not going to spend as much time on every character because this is the Kongversation and we're just talking about Yooka-Laylee for the most part. But one thing I don't like about Yooka-Laylee, too, besides the rigidity in the game, is the rolling move, the reptile rush. The
spin dash.
Well, yeah, it's called the reptile rush, but it's the side charge attack where Yooka rolls up into a ball and Laylee like Dixie on Kitty Kong. That move's essentially worthless because it takes so long to charge up, and anybody is just going to evade it when they see it coming.
That when you buy that move in Yooka-Laylee, it's one of my favorite lines in the game. It says it allows you to spin dash like video game hero Trouser.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Because it's you think it's Sonic, but it's
no. Trouser is the video game hero that is known for the spin dash move.
Right, of course. No, that the joke.
I just love the audacity of just calling it a spin dash, though.
Yeah, right. So So anyway, and there's also a down charge attack where Laylee lets off her sonar, which I haven't really done much. So I can't.
I don't think I've done that.
Yeah, I like looking at their moves. I'm like, oh, okay. I haven't really done that one. I've done everything but that one a lot. Anyway, okay. So moving on. First of all, let me check in with the live stream chat. So yeah, we got Red Crested Breagle in there.
Love that guy.
Yeah. And Mamechi. Hey, how you
Love
folks
that guy
doing?
too.
Yeah. They're not really talking about Brawlout. They're talking about Donkey Kong Country and Nuts and Bolts and Jinjos. So
I'm jealous. I would also rather talk about Donkey Kong Country and Nuts and Bolts and Jinjos, but here I am talking about Brawlout.
It's but you're on the Kongversation, so you're on a podcast that has talked about that stuff at some point in time. Yeah. So
We don't talk much about Nuts and Bolts on the show.
Yeah, it'll be a good episode. Olaf Tyson. What the fuck? Olaf Tyson, original character. He is a Viking walrus dude who has a penguin on his back that looks very much like one of the Tucks from off of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. And before I knew like that this was all within a grand tome, my mind was trying to make the connections. Is Olaf Tyson like a Waldo or something? Is he part of the Snowmads? He's not. But what's with the name Olaf Tyson? Are they trying to do Mike Tyson? Are they trying to homage a rapist? What is going on with Olaf Tyson? Like Olaf I get because it's a Viking Scandinavian type name, but okay, whatever.
Oh. I'm a bit uncomfortable with that.
I mean, there's a reason why Nintendo never acknowledges Mike Tyson's Punch-Out anymore. So, and I've long since abandoned the thought of, hey, Mike Tyson could be a character in Smash Brothers, because I realize that's horrible now. But same time, okay, Olaf Tyson, whatever. I mean, Balrog in Street Fighter in Japan, he's Mike Bison, which is where M. Bison comes from. And then they did the old switcheroo because of that in the US. But that's a tangent. Olaf Tyson, why does he have a flat... So he resembles the Tikis. Or not, excuse me. He resembles the Snowmads, but his head resembles the Tiki Tak tribe because he's got a flat head, which makes it better to jump on. I don't know what's going on here. And to be fair, the penguin also, he looks like it could be a Tux, but he also looks like he could just be one of those DreamWorks penguins from off of like Surf's Up or something. That was DreamWorks, right? Surf's Up.
Madagascar was DreamWorks, and that had penguins.
I can't keep track of all these shitty movies. Surf's Up.
Surf's Up was I want to say it was Warner Brothers because they had a WWE crossover.
It says Columbia Pictures, Sony Pictures. Oh, so that's...
Oh, right, it was Sony. Yeah, I knew that. I don't know why... I don't know how I forgot that.
So it really sucks because it's Sony Pictures. Okay. Worst...
Yeah, Sony Pictures, they're pretty bad. I remember...
they're pretty bad.
They were going to make Sony was going to make a Sonic movie, but that moved over to Universal.
Right. And Sony also did Venom.
Oh, yeah, that movie. I haven't seen it yet. I know people who have, and they... surprisingly, the people I know who saw it actually enjoyed themselves.
Well, hey, I enjoyed myself playing a lot of Brawlout, but let's be honest here. Venom is the Brawlout to Smash Brothers Spider-Man Homecoming. So let's be honest.
I mean, so Sony Pictures has made some. They've made some good animated movies, I guess, but they're no Pixar.
Yeah, but I don't know. Even Pixar, I don't really. This is a tangent. Something is wrong with me because I can't get enthused about Pixar ever.
Wait, ever?
Like, I recognize they make good movies. I'm just not enthused by them. Because they try to emotionally manipulate me. Stop trying to make me cry, Pixar. I don't like it. I don't want to cry. Fuck. I cried when I saw Wall-E and I didn't enjoy myself. And I Toy Story 3, oh, boo-hoo-hoo, childhood is over, boo-hoo-hoo. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. So those are my thoughts on Pixar. But getting back to Olaf Tyson, so he's just a Viking dude with a penguin on his back, kind of Banjo-Kazooie-esque. You'd think maybe he and Yooka-Laylee could have like a great rivalry. Let's read his bio on the Brawlout website. Olaf Tyson. Why don't you take this one, Shane?
Okay. The dysfunctional duo. This is where Tyson comes in, a career criminal with plans for total
you didn't
control.
Read the first paragraph.
Whoa. That was weird. Okay. In the lawless tundra of Oboden?
Oboden?
How? Oboden? Okay.
That's where you live in Canada, right?
Yeah. The call for an exemplar was ignored by the majority. When you have to deal with gang wars and blizzards daily, most people choose to stay indoors. However, hearing that gold and untold power lay in wait for winning exemplar, one crafty penguin had his eyes on the prize. This is where Tyson comes in, a career criminal with plans for total control of Oboden's underworld. If you're in the market for dirty deeds and double dealings, he's your penguin. Becoming an exemplar is his biggest scheme to date, one that will finally push him to be recognized as Oboden's greatest crime lord. But his only way to really compete was to partner with someone with a little more weight to throw around. After scouring pit fights, Tyson eventually found his enforcer. As strong as an iceberg and seemingly as thick, Olaf is better suited as a bouncer than a treasure hunter. However, when paired with the ruthless cunning of his penguin associate, the two are a devastating team. They bicker and disagree on everything, but this criminal duo are no joke.
Oh!
Okay, so actually, Tyson is the name of the penguin. It's Olaf Tyson, like Banjo-Kazooie
They
or
didn't do
Yooka-Laylee.
a fucking hyphen, though. There should be a hyphen there, then. Okay.
They hyphened Snow Joke. It's SNO hyphen joke, no W.
Because ironically, that was the funniest thing in this entire podcast. So it wasn't Snow Joke. It was a blizzard full of laughs there. Yeah. So Olaf is the walrus dude, and Tyson is the career criminal. Wow. Jesus Christ.
This game, this lore that literally only 2 people have read is just... when you have to deal with gang wars and blizzards daily.
So the exemplar thing, what is the proper noun here, exemplar, what are they talking about? Is that like what?
I don't know. That's why I paused for a second. I'm like, exemplar with a capital E.
Is exemplar what they call the fighter who wins Brawlout? Is he or she the exemplar?
Maybe.
We're learning together, Shane. I don't expect you to have the answers. This is a journey of discovery for the both of us and for everybody listening to this podcast with us. We're finding out together about Brawlout.
This is more fun than the actual game, to be honest.
This is making the game more fun. I want to go find out about exemplars and career criminal penguins. I'm loving this lore, Shane. I'm loving life now thanks to Brawlout. Woo! All right, let's move on. Sephi-Ra, which sounds like a venereal disease. Sephi-Ra is an Egyptian-style scarab lady. I don't know what she's supposed to be. She's definitely Egyptian. And I know that because she's got the stereotypical trappings of an ancient Egyptian. Spirits of Ancient Egypt, by the way, a Paul McCartney and Wings song, not on Back to the Egg, but on Venus and Mars. Which is not as good as Back to the Egg, but it gets more play because it came out shortly after Band on the Run. It was their follow-up album, so a lot more people bought Venus and Mars. And granted, there's a lot of good songs on Venus and Mars, but as a whole, it doesn't hold up as well as Back to the Egg. But Sephi Ra, I don't know. She's like a Egypt pharaoh lady. Let me read her bio, and we'll figure it out together, shall we?
Sure.
All right. Sephi Ra, that is the heiress of the Sands. Ooh, okay. So, one of the world's wealthier countries. Oh, fuck. Feleron was a place where its upper classes wanted. Feleran. Oh, okay. Okay.
That fellow ran when he saw how bad the gameplay of this game is.
And Felly ran so far away, was a place where its upper classes wanted for nothing. They wanted for nothing, Shane. Life was luxurious, and Sephi Ra liked it that way. Heir to Feliran's royal family, the last thing she expected was to actually fight. With constant war eroding confidence in the institution, the exemplar trials... So, okay, Brawlout is the exemplar trials. Like Smash Brothers is just Smash, right? In universe, in the context of it, it's just called Smash. It's not called Smash Brothers, it's called Smash. So, Brawlout, it's not called Brawlout, it's called the exemplar trials, logically. The exemplar trials finally gave the royal family a chance to bolster its name. Sephi Ra's natural ability as a fighter made her perfect for the role, so she was designated as Feliran's representative, once some money and favors had changed hands. Trained by the finest teachers in all the land, Sephi Ra's graceful fighting style combines martial arts and the royal family's trademark control of sand.
That sounds cool.
You'll get more than...
I'd like to play as her now.
Okay. You'll get more...
Despite being a filthy royal.
Would you let me finish, Shane? It's impolite. You're being such a commoner right now as I'm discussing royalty. We are not amused, as they say in the royal family. You'll get more than sand in your shorts when dueling this cat. Oh, fuck, she's a cat. Whoa. Like a sphinx. Okay.
See, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I didn't get that because
the ears are being covered, but now I see it now.
I see it now. There's no whiskers, and I don't really see a tail, and cats aren't purple. But okay, I see it now.
That is true. Cats are not purple
unless you dip them in grape juice, which then you shouldn't even own a cat because what the fuck are you doing? One, you shouldn't own a cat. Two, you shouldn't ever buy grape juice because the rest of us can't drink it because you're busy using it as a cat bath. You'll get more than sand in your shorts when dueling this cat. They mean sand in your ass, Shane. That's what they're talking about. That you know how like in like erotica, whether it be romance novels or like soap operas or straight up pornography, when people make love on a sandy dune, and I'm just like, that's disgusting because you're gonna get sand in all your bits. And then you're not.
I don't like sand.
I don't like sand. I hate sand. You might say. If you're the star of a Star Wars, you might say it. Sephi Ra. No apostrophe s. Sephi Ra fighting prowess is something to behold, but years in the palace have made her overestimate her achievements. While she may always land on her feet because she's a cat, new challenges and mysteries will finally shake her confidence and hopefully give her some well-needed perspective. The fucking biographies are like 3 to 4 paragraphs long. And so we've got like
We see none of this in the game.
No, and career criminals, and we've got warring nations. What ghostwriter wrote this? What fucking ghostwriter smoked all this crack and like churned out a Stephen King length grand tome in like a weekend? That's what I want to know. All right. Moving on, we've got you get the honors, Shane. King Apu.
I get that honor.
Yeah, so King Apu, he is also purple or pink or something. He's a monkey.
Magenta.
He's a monkey but I think he's also very clearly modeled after King Louie from off of the Jungle Book. If I'm not mistaken, that's probably the chief inspiration here. But King of Pooh is, if this were a fighting game in the 90s and it had no Donkey Kong universe connections, King of Pooh is the fighter I would naturally pick because he's a monkey. And let's talk about King of Pooh, what he actually is according to Brawlout's lore. Shane?
Okay, so this is he's the smiling tyrant.
Sorry. Continue.
King Apu is the fiercest fighter to ever grace the ring, the finest king to ever wear a crown, the greatest dancer to ever bust a move. These words are all written on the giant golden statue of King Apu in front of his palace. As the tyrannical ruler of Semira, King Apu was faced with finding an exemplar who was truly the best monkey for the job. As far as he was concerned, there was only one choice: himself. Besides, a trip around the world would make a welcome change from his hectic schedule of crushing rebellions, torching enemy villages, and ruling with an iron fist. While he prefers not to dirty his hands fighting lesser foes, his nation-hopping adventure may finally provide him with opponents worthy to feel the lash of his whip. At the very least, he'll get a decent workout in as he grinds any opposition into the dust. But Apu's arrogance comes with a very real risk. As he faces bigger and badder opponents, his hubris could be his undoing.
That's the first bio I can really wrap my head around. I get it. He's a evil king who rules.
He's a warlord.
He essentially rules the Brawlout equivalent of Gorilla City from off of The Flash. But he's like Gorilla Grodd, but he's a monkey, King of Pooh. So so far all of these characters are essentially terrible people. They're criminals and smug royalty and tyrants. So Yooka-Laylee are the only heroes we've encountered so far. and we have a third nation now, Chimera, which the nation of monkeys, which in game has a very like Indian style influence, a little bit Middle Eastern too, but King of Pooh I like this character.
I really like him. I noticed his echo before I noticed him.
Yes,
but we'll get to that later.
Yeah,
we already kind of got to that. But
right. Now King of Pooh, like I said, if this were a non-DKU game and this were like the 90s where I rented games from Blockbuster on a weekly basis and tried them out, and I tried out Brawlout, King of Pooh would be who I would be spending the weekend with because he's a monkey. You know what these characters are reminding me of just a little bit? They are reminding me of Shaq Fu in just the overt stereotypes that go a little bit beyond Street Fighter. Some of the environments in the game remind me of Shaq Fu. And I say that as a plus, as a positive thing. I like the resemblance to schlock fighting games from the 90s, like Shaq Fu, because it does make me nostalgic for that era. This is essentially what Brawlout is, and that makes me happy. The weird, perverse part of my brain takes just sheer delight in that. All right. I guess I'm up. Chief Feathers. Not racist. Not racist at all. Chief Feathers. Come on.
I saw the name and I was like, oh, wait, did I miss like a racist caricature?
Yeah. No, I mean, Chief Feather, I mean, okay. You can have a Native American character and it doesn't make it inherently racist. I get we're very sensitive to our past faults as a society right now, and I get that. So I'm not Chief Feathers. He's a Native American. Where it kind of he's a bird. He's a bird Native American. So you could say, well, is that any more offensive than Chief Thunder from Killer Instinct? No. It's just weird. I guess it like look as a white cisgendered male. I am no room to talk. You know, I don't know what is or is not offensive to the native indigenous American population. So I don't know, but he's a bird and he's a Native American, but not a Native American. Let me read his bio to find out, because I might just be talking out of my ass. There might be nothing offensive about this at all, right? Whew. All right. The Burning Chieftain. Oh, okay. The former chief of a band of fighters from Rocky Achapra? Achapra?
Either or both.
I'm going to go with
Do what you
Achapra.
want.
Achapra, it sounds like a skin disease, or maybe like something like a form of alopecia where you lose all your hair and get replaced with feathers. Achapra, Chief Feathers has kept the title, as well as a watch over his homeland. Hearing about an artifact of untold power, Chief Feathers instantly took up the position of exemplar. With his people driven to near extinction by decades of war, success as Acapra's exemplar could finally end Chief Feathers' watch. With a newfound resolve, Chief Feathers donned his old headdress and set off in search of this artifact. But underneath his heroic exterior lays a dark secret. Whispers of this artifact have dredged up painful memories for Chief Feathers of a time where he failed in his role as his tribe's protector. While he is no spring chicken, the fire burns inside Chief Feathers as he seeks to right the wrongs of his past. The fire burns, Shane.
The fire burns.
Yeah, the fire rises. Whatever that thing from the Batman movie was. So, Chief Feathers, not as racist as one might think, because you hear the name Chief Feathers, like, are you talking about the headdress? But he's a chicken, so that therein lies the name. Still, dodgy maybe, but, I think you can have a Native American character and not have it be offensive. Like, whatever. It's a trope. It's a trope. So, yeah.
You could, not do the Banjo-Tooie's portrayal of Humbawamba.
Right, yeah, no. Look, if we're talking about, portrayals of Native Americans, Humbawamba definitely is up there. They kind of walked it back in nuts and bolts.
Her speech was, from what I remember, her speech was still broken.
Yeah, no, that, and we've talked about Humbawamba a little bit on the Kongversation, just how it makes more sense from the context of it being a UK developer and their only exposure to that being, American movies, like Westerns and what have you. So you don't get the cultural kind of minefield that it is. Just like Americans wouldn't necessarily understand the social sciences of the UK as well as they do. So
a lot of people don't really know about their colonization of India.
Right. I think more people know about it now, but yeah, I think that would be like you look at Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and you're like, holy shit, that's racist. But, at the time, well, it's still pretty racist at the time, but you know what I mean.
It was pretty racist.
It's still my favorite Indiana Jones movie because it kicks ass. But yes, it is outstandingly racist, like just like another level of racist. Like, oh yeah, these Hindus eat eels with like bugs or snakes with bugs inside of it. It's just like, no, they're vegetarians. Like, what? Monkey brains? What? But it's still the best Indiana Jones. Fight me, people. Fight me. All right. Do you want to do Paco?
Sure. I can read his. I can read Paco's.
Well, Paco seems to be the default mascot of the game. Like
he's the main character.
He's a luchador, from what I'm gathering, but he's some sort of amphibian, but he's got 4 arms, and so I don't understand that. Is he a mutant? Why does he have 4 arms? Why is he like Goro from off of Mortal Kombat? Like, what is his deal?
There's literally no way to know.
Let's find out.
Besides reading the bio.
Let's find out.
The Green Hurricane. What he lacks in grace, Paco more than makes up for in heart. A super fan of wrestling and boxing, his unorthodox fighting style somehow earned him the rank of Anuran's exemplar. Okay, so
why do all these kingdoms and countries sound like medical conditions? Oh, I had a pretty bad anuran, and now I'm seeing everybody with 4 arms. Like,
I think maybe all these characters, or most of them, are exemplars. Like, each nation has one, and they're sent to this trial.
Yeah. To know what the grand exemplar or is. Yes.
Before his rise to stardom, Paco was a simple painter and the last person to be body-slamming people in the ring. Upon learning of the exemplar trials, Paco signed up on a whim, knowing full well he wouldn't make it past the first round. But after donning a magical mask given to him by a mysterious peddler, Paco suddenly sprouted 2 extra arms. While most would be horrified by these new limbs, Paco was imbued with a newfound confidence which saw him leaping headfirst into the ring. Fighting like a frog possessed, Paco tore through the competition, taking down opponents in a frenzy of limbs, screaming half-baked signature moves. While frantically throwing punches may have worked in the exemplar trials, his inexperience may be his downfall when facing battle-hardened opponents. Heart and raw power can only take a fighter so far.
So a magic mask that gives you extra arms. Sure. Nothing matters at this point. Sure. Alright, I got Volt. And I don't know what Volt is. Volt looks like a Kremlin if the Kremlin sucked.
I haven't gotten a chance to play as Volt yet.
Volt. Actually, I think Volt is like a hedgehog.
Wait.
Looking
no,
at...
I think I played as him when I first got it on Switch because I was like, oh, maybe he's like a Sonic Echo.
Yeah. No, Volt looks like Sonic the Hedgehog if he mated on the sandy dunes with a Kremlin, and then they had a child, and the child sucked. That's what Volt looks like. So here's Volt, the shocking shaman. The anxious descendant of a fabled war hero. So much unnecessary backstory here. Like, what? The anxious descendant of a fabled war hero? Like, oh, okay. The burden of greatness sits heavily on Volt's spines. Volt desired to become his tribe's chief shaman to help heal the sick and teach the next generation about the mysteries of magic. However, the role of exemplar was thrust upon him by his doting father, forcing him to give up his desire for a peaceful life to uphold the honor of his people. While possessing natural gifts for combat and great magical ability, Volt finds himself as the reluctant representative for Uranus. Jesus. The weight of expectation heavier than ever. Luckily, his mastery of lighting magic,
It's supposed to be lightning, but it's lighting.
Lighting magic, yeah. Ooh, watch me screw in this light bulb. Abracazam! His mastery of lightning magic does allow him to keep the fight at range. If it does come to close range combat, his sharp spines and panicked reflexes should fend off most attackers. For all of his protest, a trip out of his comfort zone may just be what Volt needs. Seeing new lands and confronting his fears may turn him into the hero he is destined to be. Or he could come back a nervous wreck. So Volt has like social anxiety disorder. Apparently.
Relatable.
Yeah, no, totally. We need more fighters who suffer from the same maladies that I do. So I can definitely relate when I'm in a fighting game and just being completely awkward because, you know, I have to turn up, I have to ratchet up the whole extrovert thing when I'm doing this show. But when I'm not doing this show, just leave me alone. I want to just creep into the shadows and be by myself as a crazy feces flinging hermit. So I can relate with Volt. And I had no idea that Volt was a heroic character. Because Volt looks like a sinister piece of shit. but he's apparently a lot better than Olaf hyphen Tyson. So yeah, okay. And King Apu, who I thought was like one of the big heroes of the game, turns out King Apu's also a vile, heinous like piece of garbage. So
a royal.
Yeah. All right. So we've got now we've got the guest characters. Shane, talk to us about the Drifter.
I'll take the Drifter.
The Drifter, which sounds like I don't know, a country western song. The Drifter.
Hyper Light Drifter. Drifters of this world are the collectors of forgotten knowledge, lost technologies, and broken histories. The Drifter is haunted by an insatiable illness, traveling further into the lands of buried time, steeped in blood and treasure, hoping to discover a way to quiet the vicious disease. Echoes of a dark and violent past from the dead eras resonate throughout, and he can't help but listen.
I thought the Drifter was a she, honestly. Like that, I didn't realize the Drifter he was male. So, okay.
Yeah, the Drifter. When I'm not using Yooka-Laylee, I'm using the Drifter. They are probably my favorite character to play as.
So I don't know any of the lore of Hyperlight Drifter or how the Drifter could be in Brawlout, and there's no context provided here like there was Yooka-Laylee, where it recontextualizes the whole game as just essentially a figment of that game's imagination. So, I guess like Shovel Knight came to Shipwreck Bay looking for treasure. So did the Drifter, I guess. I don't know. Let's go with that. So anyway, we got another character, the last guest character in the game thus far, because Dead Cells is coming, but not yet, is Juan from Guacamelee. So here is what it says about Juan. Guacamelee, a humble agave farmer turned legendary luchador, Juan is always prepared to pile drive evil. Following his demise at the hands of the villainous Carlos Calaca, Juan was revived. Juan was revived. That was my bad. Juan was revived thanks to the mysterious powers of a magical wrestling mask. Transformed into the luchador he always dreamed of, Juan set out to defeat Calaca, save his beloved, and bring peace to the worlds of the living and the dead. With moves like the Rooster Uppercut, Frog Slam, and dashing Derp, Juan is one wrestler you don't want to grapple with. Hey, if that's not enough,
I mean, you can't grapple anyone in this game.
No, you can't. No, so you even if you wanted to do it, you can't. So be grateful. If that's not enough, Juan can transform himself into a chicken should the mood strike him. It's no poultry skill, I'll tell you that. Poultry, but they say poultry. So that okay. Good. You get a golf clap for that, Brawlout. It's no poultry skill, I'll tell you that. But nothing about how he and Paco would relate to each other. Because they both have magical mask that Juan's
he has a
mask,
frog slam.
Juan's mask brings him back to life, and Paco's mask gave him 2 extra arms. Yeah. So, also, his full name is Juan Aguacati. I don't know. He's just called Juan in the game, but here on the website. Okay. So anyway, those are the main characters in Brawlout, at least for the Xbox, the PlayStation, Windows 10, and Steam.
The Windows Steam version, that it's been out longer than the Xbox and PlayStation.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is still info that is accurate to today, but a couple months ago I was reading the game is still in early access on Steam and does not have all the content that the Switch version has.
Okay. Well, okay. So at the very least, this is applicable for the Xbox and the PlayStation and Windows 10. But I bought the deluxe version, Shane, as you did, for the Xbox, not for the Switch, because there's no deluxe version for the Switch. And there are some starter characters you get from the start, obviously, but so I thought we would touch upon them real quick, and then we'll wrap it up and give our final thoughts. Talk a little bit about Tribal Stack Tropics, the stage at least, but I feel like we can forego talking about every stage, considering most of them are just flat platforms with very little personality. Tribal Stack Tropics is the best stage in this game, but in my opinion.
I mean, I like some of the stages.
I like the
environment. They're really generic.
I like the environments, but everything is essentially Battlefield or Final Destination with a few hiccups.
Which is weird because I was reading some people were having problems choosing stages and it wasn't letting them, and there's apparently an option that only lets you play the competitive stages. Maybe that's on by default, and that's why we're not seeing anything fun.
This is stuff we have to research a little bit more in depth. There's a lot to take in with Brawlout, surprisingly.
For the next Brawlout episode.
Yeah. All right. Well, the conversation's never going to die, so obviously there's going to be more Brawlout talk at some point. Because the conversation is going to go for decades and decades and centuries even, assuming mankind can survive. And even then, I'll find a way to keep it going in whatever form the afterlife takes. So, unless I find a luchador mask that brings me back, and then I'll just keep doing it. So, in the deluxe version, there is an echo of Paco. I'm calling them echoes, but in traditional Smash vernacular, I guess it would be clones. Gancho Puncho is an echo of Paco, and why don't you is Gancho Pacho include? Yeah, there he is. Why don't you read his biography?
Oh, whoa! This is interesting. The traveling at troubadour. Rather than becoming a wrestler, this Paco's passion was for music. He became a traveling mariachi, using his extra limbs to play two instruments at the same time. He moved from town to town, bringing joy and song to anyone who would listen. Tales of the four-armed bard spread across Anura, with fans coming from all corners of the world to hear him play. He also became famous for his bravery, with fans telling stories of him defending travelers and fending off hordes of bandits. Now nicknamed Gancho Puncho by his adoring public, this musician is always on the move. Now, when it says this Paco, is this an alternate timeline?
Yeah,
or
so
is Paco a drone?
Well, first of all, they called it Anora. They called his home country Anora here. In Paco's bio, they called it Anoran. So which is it? Anora sounds better, and maybe they were saying Paco was just Anoran. So I'm gonna go with Anora until somebody corrects me.
Is this an alternate timeline?
Yeah.
Wow.
Here's the thing, because he still has the extra arm, so he would have to have gotten the mask, but then he decided, I don't want to do this. Music is my passion, so this is an.
But he doesn't seem to be wearing the mask.
No, but I guess he still there's no backsies for the extra arms. Once he dons the mask, the extra arms are there to stay, whether he takes it off or not.
So that's how. Okay, we're not at him yet.
We're
but
not
I guess
at him
it'll
yet.
Be by the shark.
Yeah. So yeah, Gancho Puncho represents an alternate timeline version of Paco, who became a mariachi.
Now, are these clone/echo characters? I don't think these characters are canonically part of this exemplar trials thing.
Well, they show up though, so
neither of us have played the main arcade mode that goes through all the characters. Do they show up?
Well, here's the thing though, you can play as Gancho Puncho in the main arcade game, so you can have him be the victorious exemplar. So yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. I'm going to say tentatively yes, but I don't know.
How did he come to this timeline?
Wormhole? I don't know.
We need to know.
It's a grand tome, so anything is possible. So the laws of reality are whatever the ghostwriters deem them to be. So, wizards? I don't know.
I don't know. You take Mako.
Okay, Mako, who is also an echo of Paco. Four-armed shark, Mako, also looks a lot like the street sharks from 90s post Ninja Turtles fame. When they tried to like create the next Ninja Turtles, we gotta get the kids buying our new things, and Street Sharks had modest success. It was nowhere near the worldwide phenomena that Ninja Turtles was, but it still carved out a niche for itself. That's what Mako looks like. Mako.
I like Mako. Mako is he's one of my favorites.
He's a good design. The Oceanic Enforcer. Mako became a diver because he wanted to do something interesting. The ocean was calling to him. On his first solo dive, Mako found himself in the middle of an ancient temple, surrounded by glittering jewels and riches. Isn't that always the way on your first dive? The temple around him rumbled, and the water turned a deep shade of red. A tendril of murky black energy slunk out from a statue of a shark. What? At the far end of the room and wrapped itself around Mako, diving straight through his skin and into his heart. The energy belonged to the spirit of a long-lost water god, awoken by Mako's presence. It nestled inside of Mako's body and began to change him, transforming him into a shark. The spirit explained that Mako had been chosen to fulfill a great destiny. He would become the guardian of Anuran's shores. So, okay. Anuran here again. So I guess it's Anuran, and that was just a typo before. Anuran shores. Bringing the wrath of the gods down on anyone who damaged them. The oceans had a new protector, at least when he's not out partying on the beach anyway. So the black oil from the X-Files turned him into a shark, but it was a long-lost water god, actually, turning him into a shark and I guess the water god had 4 arms. So that's the explanation for Mako. And since Mako is from Anuran, I guess Mako is a frog or whatever, but he's a frog who became a shark.
Yeah, I'm picking that up as well.
Yeah. Wow. You know what? I'm loving Brawlout more and more, Shane. I have to say, this is some first-rate bullshit, and it's just right up my alley. My nipples are pert right now. This is really like tickling that part of my brain that just loves unnecessary lore. This is great. Like, I wish Smash Brothers could get this convoluted. Like, this is the advantage of having most of these characters be originals. Just do whatever shit you want. You've got Ripjack. Now, Ripjack is an echo of Volt. Let's just get that out there. Seems to be also a hedgehog type, but with mechanical arms like TJ Combo had in Killer Instinct 2. So, why don't you explain what Ripjack is?
Rip and tear. More machine than hedgehog, Ripjack is a lieutenant of in Apocalypse. Who is Apocalypse? This is Kane Apu. Is that one of his echoes?
Yeah. Apocalypse is an unlockable.
Yeah, here it is. Apocalypse now.
Unlockable clone or echo of King Apu. From an alternate
right. Yeah, this
timeline.
is the one that's like his. Yeah, he renamed himself Apocalypse when he turned himself into metal. Okay, so
Apocalypse sounds like some sort of like plague that gives everybody irritable bowel syndrome. Oh no, it's the Apocalypse.
It like that would be like the headline on like the cable news channel that when they're reporting on it.
Well, but they all have like little portable like kiddie toilets because it's the Apocalypse.
Okay, so he's a lieutenant in Apocalypse's convoy of chaos. Constant exposure to unstable magic has fried Ripjack's brain, turning him into a feral beast that feels no pain.
Are you just like shutting down on the
I stopped because I knew you were going to react to that.
No, really, just keep going.
While it makes him the perfect berserker, he's incredibly reckless in battle, often sacrificing limbs to finish off his enemy. As he is such a force of nature, Apu has done everything in his power to keep him alive, turning Ripjack into a tangled mess of bone and metal. With a deadly crusher claw, bionic eyes, and ferocious metal spikes, you don't want Ripjack hunting you down.
No, apparently not. So, Ripjack is not Volt, or not an alternate universe version of Volt, but he is from the alternate universe that Apocalypse came from. And he's from Aranus, which is where Volt came from, part of the same tribe, I guess, that Volt came from. But in this timeline, he becomes a lieutenant of Apocalypse. When Apocalypse causes the apocalypse, then Ripjack becomes one of his lieutenants. So in the proper reality of the Grand Tome, Ripjack, whoever he is just a regular hedgehog that hasn't gotten involved in anything. But Ripjack in this alternate timeline becomes one of the one of the fighters, but not one of the exemplars. But he does show up in this. This is like you almost need a chart with like a corkboard with strings to keep track of this stuff now, because now we got alternate timelines and alternate versions of characters and characters from said alternate realities that aren't in the prime reality. And holy shit, this game. All right, I've got Sting Ra, which is an echo of Sephi-Ra. So another Egyptian style. This looks like a wasp, but maybe this is a scarab. But we'll find out. Okay, let's see. Sting Ra,
like some kind of like bee cat.
Bee cat, yeah. The guardian of the hive. An estranged member of Sephi-Ra's extended family, Sting Ra is the matriarch of an underground insectoid colony located deep within the Iranian jungles. She rules as part of a council of matriarchs, with each one representing a different insect tribe. Her tribe mainly focuses on food production and defense, their large stingers being powerful enough to fell the largest threat. Sting Ra is never too far from her people, as a cloud of her smallest subjects follow her whenever she goes. They act as both a hyper-aggressive guard detail and Sting Ra's personal communications device. No matter the distance, give Sting Ra a quick buzz, and she'll be back to defend her people. I feel
the design though, like this is a cat bee.
Yes, so the species, an estranged member of Sephi-Ra's extended family. By extended family, I assume that Sting Ra was once a cat like Sephi-Ra, but they like use magic or something to become bee cats, right? Right, that would have to be it.
Maybe evolution just happens faster in their world.
I mean, it's a Grand Tome, so anything can happen. But Jesus Christ, the other Grand Tomes are like, here's tropical temples. Here is a casino. Here is space ocean. And I guess after Space Ocean, they said, and now here's this story. This was their attempt at outdoing Tolkien, and well, here are the results. So the final fighter that's available from the start in the deluxe edition, Shane, I know you wanted to have dibs on this one. Have at 'em.
Funkmaster, Lord of the Dance, and this is an echo of Cain Apu. So before, this is actually sort of mentioned in his bio, where it mentioned that He is the greatest dancer to ever bust a move, just in there with all the other stuff about murder. So here it is. Before his days as a murderous tyrant, Apu was a killer on the dance floor. Discos up and down Samira were full of rumors about the legendary Funk Master, a monkey with moves so fly you'd think he was from Akipra. Oh, yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, whoa, that monkey must be from Akipra. But then he wasn't. Dressed in the finest polyester and with a luscious afro, the Funk Master would dazzle audiences with his amazing moves. The fame, money, and fans eventually went to Apu's head, leaving him desperate for more. When Disco died and the war began, Apu swapped his dancing shoes and gold chains for his whip and iron fist. While he may not be king of the world just yet, Apu will always be the king of the dance floor.
Wow, so I thought Funk Master was just going to be an ape from Samira, because obviously there's no way he was the same character as King Apu.
Yeah, but look at the way he dances. He's got to be from Akipra.
Common mistake, Shane. Common mistake. But very, very attentive nonetheless, so you get partial credit. No, he is a time-displaced younger version of King Apu from the 1970s. So here's the thing about Funk Master. Despite having the name Funk...
Here's the thing about Funk Master. When you do his, jumping special, he drops a car.
He drops...
I don't know if King Apu drops something, but this one drops a car.
He drops a lowrider on you. And also he's got a disco ball that pops out. What does the disco ball do?
I was trying to figure that out, but you didn't hit it at all, so...
I kept destroying it. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what the disco ball does.
The thing about Funk Master is he's got funk in his name, but he is very much what Swanky Kong would be if Swanky Kong was a character in Smash Brothers. His moveset, his personality, it's crazy. And
it's really sad that he turned out the way he did.
The thing is he's also got these this gauntlet on him that has a golden heart on it. I love how just over the top it is, and how he's also How
could a guy like the Funk Master become a guy like King Apu?
I mean, the 70s, man. A lot of people turned into dirtbags after the 70s. They hit the discotheque.
It's just like the fame and riches they got to him. He became a member of the bourgeoisie and then just started murdering people.
Ultimately, that's what would happen to John Travolta's character if they made a third movie in the Saturday Night Fever universe. Sorry. You start saying Saturday night and you just want to end it with live rather than anything else. Yeah, the Saturday Night Fever universe, after Staying Alive, of course, the famed 1980s era sequel, and then you got the third movie where it's where he becomes a fascist tyrant ruling America with an iron fist. Funk Master also, I've looked into the things you can unlock. Funk Master has an alt skin in the game called Bling Kong. Bling Kong. So Funk Master / King Apu is not a Kong. Let's get he's not a Donkey Kong Island Kong, but some form or fashion, maybe the Ghost Writers wrote him with the Kongs in mind, so he might be a fabricated Kong invented by the Ghost Writers.
See, I was thinking that was true of both him and the Snowmad characters. Yeah,
the inspiration came from the Snowmads, but with some things tweaked. We haven't, or I haven't unlocked this character, but I've got to read real quick, because this is the Kongversation about Apunaut. Because there is an astronaut version of Apu in the game. And we've kind of touched upon Apocalypse, which is the Apu who has caused an apocalypse in his timeline. But let's talk about Apunaut. I'm going to read this real quick, and then we'll just talk a little bit about Tribal Sectropics and wrap this whole delightful mess up. Apunautics. Space. the final frontier that Apu had yet to conquer. World domination wasn't enough for the simian warlord. He was looking to become the Sultan of the Stars. Putting his scientists to work, he searched the heavens for a planet in need of a ruler. Eventually settling on a little world situated somewhere on the outer spiral arm of the Milky Way, he then set about building a grand spacecraft capable of whisking him away to another world. After several rocket tests and years of rigorous training, Apu was ready for interstellar conquest. Donning a special spacesuit, he blasts off into the great beyond, ready to spread his empire across the cosmos. Okay, so first of all, another alternate timeline version of Apu. Sure. Okay. Eventually settling on a little world situated somewhere on the outer spiral arm of the Milky Way. So within the context of the Grand Tome, this all takes place on an alien planet. And this Apu came to Earth and joined NASA? Wait, what? Shane, help me out here, because I am lost.
I guess so, because we would be that little world.
But okay, so he built a spaceship to leave Brawlout world to go to Earth, so he could build a better spaceship capable of taking him to another world. But then why did he leave? What? Wait, no, that doesn't make any sense. If he's already capable of building his own spaceship, then what is it talking about him going to a little world situated on the outer spiral arm of the Milky Way? And why did he join like NASA? And why? Because if he already traveled to Earth, what? Unless he like just crossed dimensions, but no, what? Oh fuck this! All right, I have to tap out like I'm in a Paco or Juan headlock here. Let's move on from the characters and the complex mythology of Brawlout and just talk real quick about Tribal Stack Tropics. They do a pretty good job of translating Tribal Stack Tropics.
There's a ring with googly eyes above the stage. You don't really get anything for jumping through it.
That bothers me, because I thought the ring was going to be more interactive. You can jump through it, but it doesn't do anything.
The music is a bit grating.
Yeah, the music doesn't really fit.
It's... Okay, so the music is the Uphill Battle, I think the song is called, from Yooka-Laylee. Now, it is the boss song from Tribal Stack Tropics, so in that way it fits. But otherwise, it's not good. It's like if somebody didn't like Grant Kirkhope and made a song as an example of what he sounds like, that's what the song is. It's just it's a cheap knockoff of like why am I drawing a blank here? Danny Elfman's style, and it's not a good song. I wish they would have used Armed and Dangerous, which was the boss music David Wise made for the Third World.
Now, that wouldn't fit Tribal Stack Tropics. I think... But
it would fit a fighting game.
Yeah, but I also think they could have just done like the normal theme of Tribal Stack Tropics.
That would have been fine rather too. Than the boss I'm not too big on it.
It's totally
What if they used
off,
Jungle Challenge? Jungle Challenge by David Wise. It was a song he made for the game, but it ended up in the credits.
That would have been fine. That would have been, I think, tonally appropriate, too.
It was called Jungle Challenge on the Kickstarter, but it later got its
No, I know what you're talking
name.
about.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice. It's faithful to Tribal Stack Tropics. Like, it could just take place on these other platforms that were platforms you never saw or reached in Tribal Stack Tropics.
Tropic Trials was the name of the song in the final game.
Yeah. But like the only elements besides the ring with googly eyes are the butterflies flying around in the background. And of course the world environment itself is pretty faithful, but yeah, there are no like corplets or anything running out at you, which is good, because you know, I think Smash Brothers stages, especially for Wii U and Nintendo 3DS, got a little chaotic. I just feel like some of these stages are a little bare bones, and I feel like the Triple Stack Tropics stage is the most varied because there's more platforms to jump on, and you've got the platforms on the sides too, so there's more strategy you can employ in your fighting style in Triple Stack Tropics. I've had the most fun in the game playing Triple Stack Tropics. So
I don't like the song. I'm sorry if you're listening to us, Grant. I mean, if you're mad, you can block us on Twitter again.
No!
You have my permission.
No, block Shane. Shane Marchis, at Shane Marchis. Block him, because it's not DK Vine. I think the song is fine. It's just out of context. It doesn't really work. But that's not your fault.
I love the Perfect Dark soundtrack. I love the Donkey Kong 64 soundtrack. I like the soundtrack for Kingdoms of Amalur. But the song Uphill Battle is not good.
I think it's fine in the context of the Rampo fight, but this isn't the Rampo fight.
You hear it for like a minute and it's done.
Okay, but in the context of the Rampo fight, it's fine. This is not the Rampo fight.
It's not a good song for Super Smash Brothers.
This isn't Super Smash Brothers, though. This is Brawlout, so...
Oh.
Yeah, common mistake. The lack of grappling and grabbing, that should have been your first indication. Also, the decrease in quality should have been the second.
But grappling and grabbing are mentioned in the lore. I would have thought they'd be in the gameplay, too.
You'd think. I did like Stormy City, which is a variation of Golden City.
Yes, that's my favorite level.
Stormy City reminds me of a Shaq Fu stage again. Very, very much so. And that I don't know if Stormy City is supposed to be just like Golden City, or if it's supposed to be the Apocalypse stage, maybe. I don't know, because there's very little context provided. But Golden City is King Apu stage, so Stormy City is either just Golden City, but when it's stormy, or Golden City in the throes of the apocalypse, which is my favorite word that I've learned this episode, and I'm going to be using it in and out of context for the rest of my life. Shane, let's discuss our final thoughts. So... I know you've been very harsh on this game, and I
really enjoyed talking about it, though.
Yeah, and it's
I love everything about it, but just the gameplay is...
So it's Donkey Kong 64 all over again. Like, you like the concepts of it, you just don't really care for playing the game.
This is probably mostly nostalgia talking, but I don't hate playing Donkey Kong 64. I don't like it as a Donkey Kong game because it's not a Donkey Kong game. It feels way too cartoony, and the gameplay doesn't suit the characters very much.
Yeah. I mean, I've replayed Donkey Kong 64 the other week, and I'm surprised that I actually enjoyed myself for whatever it was worth. I run hot and cold on Donkey Kong 64. But I recognize, like, it's it's definitely the worst 3D platformer from Rare. And that includes Yooka-Laylee in there. Like, it's the pits, or it's the long, dark corridor with a swinging lamp overhead. But I like a lot about Donkey Kong 64, and I like a lot about Brawlout. It's just...
Yeah, just... I've long not been happy with, like, how cartoony DK64 is, but with other stuff like Donkey Kong Land and Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, like, in the mix, I think... I don't know, maybe it's okay for Donkey Kong to get a bit weird sometimes.
Yeah, I think the problem was it was Donkey Kong's big outing on the Nintendo 64. So, yeah, it just...
Now, here is something we haven't mentioned yet
Shane!
About Brawlout.
Okay.
This is completely off topic, but it's on topic because this is a Brawlout episode.
Okay, I was going to yell at you because...
If you have the regular version, The only stages you start with are Jungle Treetop, Shivering Coast, and the Eerie.
Really?
Yes.
That's...
You have to unlock all the other stages, and some of them are connected to characters. Like, if you get the Drifter to level 5, you get this stage. If you get Juan to level 5, you get this stage. But none of these stages are based on Hyper Light Drifter or Guacamelee.
Yeah, that is weird. Like, Yooka-Laylee got Tribal Stack Tropics. I guess because it's easier to go to Tribal Stack Tropics, everybody just leaves the Grand Tome and goes over to the Tribal Stack Tropics Grand Tome. So, again, that's little in-game evidence.
I think Dead Sails is getting a stage, though, because there was a background behind the Dead Sails character and its picture, and I have to assume that's from the game. I don't know much about Dead Sails.
Well, we'll see. I mean, but I like that so far within the context of the game lore, it actually makes sense for Tribal Stack Tropics to be a stage, while Guacamelee and Hyper Light Drifter don't get stages. That's kind of cool. But, yeah, the thing is, Brawlout is basically a third-party inferior version of Smash. So you have to ask yourself, well, what's the point? Well, here's the point, Shane. If you have
a PS4, it's the only choice you have.
If you have an Xbox One, it's the only choice you have.
If you have an Xbox One, you can get Rivals of Aether. It's a lot better.
But that's not Smash style, though.
It is.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, here's the thing, though. If you want a Smash style game, and you want an insane level of lore and a Donkey Kong Universe connection, and you want to play with your friends on the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One or Windows 10, then absolutely get Brawlout, because it is serviceable. It's serviceable. I like a lot about it. I'm going to play it a little bit more. Let's be honest, when Smash Ultimate comes out, I probably won't be picking it up all that much, but it's good for a laugh, and I'm going to try to keep picking away at it and seeing if it reveals any greater complexities and deepness of gameplay. Maybe I'm just being hard on aspects of it because of what it's not, rather than what it is.
There's probably something there. I have a friend from my old job. On his Switch profile, it says he's played this game for over 55 hours.
On his Switch, so even though he knows
the stuttery version,
even though he knows Smash Ultimate is coming, he's put 55 hours into this game. So okay. So
I asked him earlier today or yesterday. It all runs together. I messaged him and was like, "Okay, what do you like about this game? I have to talk about it." So
you have
to. Why do you like this? And he was like, "It's like Smash Brothers."
Yeah, it is, but it isn't. And where it isn't like Smash Brothers really hurts it, in my opinion. So, like, if it had a grab, that would make all the difference. But whatever. I'm splitting hairs. I thought it was okay. And so, yeah, if you own a PS4, if you own an Xbox One, if you don't have a Switch, or if you just can't wait for Smash Ultimate, you want to scratch a little bit of that itch now, well, don't get it for the Switch, because Yooka-Laylee aren't in it yet for the Switch. So just get it for the Xbox One. If you're a loyal Kongversation listener, if we've been good enough Microsoft shills that you own an Xbox One in addition to a Switch, you should at least try it out and play with your friends. It would be nice to get some more DK Viners to play it to really get a better opinion on it. The lore is great, and the fact that the lore fits so snugly within Yooka-Laylee, I think I will admire to my dying day until a luchador mask is placed on me and I come back to admire it some more. So, Shane, you did raise this question earlier, and that's a good way to go out on. What type of DKU game is it? Because just ostensibly, from an intellectual perspective, first glance, it is a cameo game, which is the classification we ascribe to games where one of our native DKU characters appears in a game not native to the DKU. So Mario Kart 64 was the first cameo game, had the Donkey Kong Country style Donkey Kong in it. And from there, we've had more cameo games than anything else in the DKU. This would be a cameo game because it has Yooka-Laylee in it, Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing with Banjo-Kazooie was a cameo game because it had Banjo-Kazooie in it, but it wasn't native to the Banjo franchise. Brawlout is not native to the Yooka-Laylee franchise, but within the lore of the game itself, it is. It is dependent on the Yooka-Laylee franchise to make any sense. I guess if you were playing, say, the Switch version, and you didn't go to Brawlout.com to read the bio, so you didn't know any of that bullshit anyway, you would never know that this took place within a grand tome, because within the context, this is just the game world. But when you peel back the layers, surprise, it all takes place within Ivory Tower. So that does raise an intellectual argument, a new intellectual argument. Is this just a spin-off of Yooka-Laylee?
This game came out a couple weeks, maybe a week and a half after Yooka-Laylee, so if I was the only person in charge here, I would enact the Captain Black Eye rule and say this is the second game in the Platonic universe.
I wasn't even aware we coined it the Captain Black Eye rule.
I just did that, and it's a thing now.
Here's the thing, though, like Donkey Kong Adventure and Rabbids, that's still a cameo game. I know some people would disagree with that, but we still classify that as a cameo game. So even though like that is like lore heavy, and you actually visit Donkey Kong Island, and that's the game that once and for all establishes that Donkey Kong Island is a separate dimension from the Mushroom Kingdom. So we're gonna have to table this for a tribunal. But it is DKU, that's without question. So yeah, Brawlout. Give it a shot if you're impatient for Smash Ultimate. If you don't own a Switch, give it a shot. If you're a big fan of Yooka-Laylee, give it a shot. If you like the word apocalypse, absolutely. This is the game you've been waiting for all your life. Other than that,
Okay, so if you're not sold yet, there is an unlockable character named Senator Feathers, who is an alternate version of Chief Feathers, where he conforms to American culture. He's wearing like a top hat with stars and stripes, and like a blue jacket, a red bow tie, and he is a senator version of Chief Feathers. He looks like a bald eagle with a stars and stripes top hat. It's ridiculous, and I love it.
And I think that puts it over the top. Brawlout is better than Super Smash.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.